friends at Tivoli Brewing Company and the Department of Communication Arts and Sciences at MSU Denver, this is Unfiltered. And here are your hosts, Jay Schrader and Dr. Samuel J.
All right, cool. We're up and running, gents. Jay Schrader, good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
It's been a while.
I know. After last week's interview in which I went to Denver Beer Co. and actually drank beer in public, we're back to Zoom.
Without me.
I know.
Without me.
Without you. Today, we have a very special guest, another returning guest, our buddy Matt Swift from Iowa City, Iowa. We wanted to bring Matt on because, Matt, we'll let you introduce yourself again here in a moment, but I think just to add some context to the conversation, Iowa has started opening up a lot sooner than Colorado, a lot sooner than obviously other states. I know what you all had been doing in terms of COVID marketing, but also trying to get cans out the door, crowlers out the door. You were doing that pretty early on. So Jay and I just wanted to bring you on and talk to you again because it was such a good conversation last time. And also we just want to hear a perspective from a different state. Cool?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Of course. Would you mind introducing yourself? Friend.
Yeah, my name is Matt Swift. I'm one of the founding partners of Big Grove Brewery here in Iowa City. We actually started in Solon, which is a small town about 20 minutes away from our production breweries located in Iowa City called Solon. We opened in 2015. I also am a local restaurateur. I own several restaurants, partnered in several restaurants, and so I'm kind of on multiple sides of beer, from the customer to production. And obviously we have a taproom space too. So I see a lot of different parts of it, and we obviously reopened. So we're in a unique position as well.
So I guess, this is kind of why Jay and I wanted to bring you back on, is because you are a restaurateur, but you do have different ventures. Can you just kind of break down business by business what you have been doing over the last 2 to 3 weeks to begin to open up and start seeing some business again?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, our governor put out a lot of guidelines to follow. So there's 6 rules, like 6 feet apart on your table placement or your guest placement, half your capacity. Basically, that's the gist of the rules is keeping people separated, not having as many people in your spaces. She has loosened them one time since then, so now we can. Booths are considered enough of a barrier, so we can do back-to-back booths, which is interesting. So a lot of our places have higher back booths. We felt okay about that. And then there was like 40 recommendations. So it's very interesting, it's tough to navigate sometimes because it's like, well, this is recommended. So we basically applied probably 90% of the recommendations. So that includes the PPE. It's like people wearing face masks. That's an optional thing in Iowa. We chose to wear masks, our staff. We wanted to make sure that our staff felt comfortable. A lot of this was about making sure the staff was comfortable and felt safe. And so a lot of the measures we put in place were basically to protect them. And then also, how do you protect the experience when people are wearing masks and the tables are not the same? And it just kind of feels a little different. So, putting an emphasis on, we want it still to feel like you're going to Big Grove or you're going to Red's Ale House. It still needs to feel good. And so we tried to, make sure the music's going, make sure the lights are in the right dimness, make sure it still feels like a restaurant. And while we may be distancing ourselves and wearing gloves when we drop off drinks, we just want people to feel they're in a safe space and it's still a welcoming environment. So we put in all those things and they worked really well. For our busier locations, we're catching people outside before they walk in. So that seemed to be a big concern with our staff, and it's like, because a lot of our restaurants, they're very social places. They're popular spots. So people come in and like they congregate, right? They're gonna all go to the bar. They're gonna order beers together. They're gonna chill while they're waiting for tables. And how do we control that? And so a lot of the locations we started putting a hostess outside the building, and so that person would then snag customers. They would never come into the restaurant unescorted, and so that way we're just kind of like stopping the amount of like piling of people, so we kind of control where people go for the most part, and people are super cool about it. We can do up to 10 tops now, which it was 6 tops to start with. That was part of the other thing they relaxed, and that's going pretty good.
Matt, how's your staff reacting to the situation? I think everything I've heard, especially in the restaurant and food and beverage industry, the priority is really not on the client or the customer. Not that people aren't focused on that, but really, obviously, if people are coming into your bar, they're not nearly as worried about being exposed to something as you are worried about exposing one of your employees. So how do they feel about the scenario?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing was that, what do we do if this happens? What do we do if X happens? Was their big concerns. So what we try to do is just eliminate those things from happening. And so, the congregation points was a huge thing with the staff. They asked if the customers should be wearing masks. They asked a lot of questions, and we had open dialogue. We did a company-wide Zoom for almost every location, a company-wide Zoom. And I just said, ask me any question you have. And we just went through and answered and discussed every issue that they were thinking about. It was probably an hour and a half Zoom call. And it was very, and I expected it to be intense because, there's some resistance to the reopening. And I think people, once they understood that we were prioritizing our staff first and making an effort to make sure that we do our best to protect everybody and still provide, in my opinion, a very important experience for the community, and it worked out well. So as far as their safety goes, there were some people that were very concerned. We had a few people, I would say a few percent of our people not come back. Not a lot, but I mean, people that were our employees, team members that could be, are susceptible, had underlying conditions, things like that. Like the state of Iowa had programs for people to stay on unemployment that had conditions, and they've been really great about it. So we basically said, that's we understand, we support you. And they stay on unemployment. Those that want to come back. And it's honestly gone really well. It's much better than I anticipated. I'm actually shocked at how well it's gone. And the customer side has been good too. We've had a lot of customers. I expected it to be very, very cautious, very slow. We never got a rush, but we did have a lot of people show up, just happy to come out and see each other again, and then hang out, drink a beer. And then it's kind of picked up every week. We're seeing a little bit more people come out, and they're a little bit more comfortable. So that's been good to see. And I think that's been a little bit surprising to me. I thought it would take longer for people to go onto that path. I think the numbers in our state are going down, which makes people feel more comfortable too. It kind of feels like once somebody goes out and realizes it is a safe experience, it kind of triggers multiple. Like they're like, okay, we can go back and do this again. It's not this big scary thing.
Are you seeing that? Sorry, Jay. Are you seeing that across all of your businesses, or is a place like Big Grove, where you have so much open space and you have so much open air? Was that was that business really up and running? Not at capacity, but obviously, getting more customers in maybe before the other ones, or was it pretty kind of the same across the board?
No, not the same across the board. I think the patio locations are doing double the business of the other ones. They're much busier, and they're much closer to where we normally would be at. Just because we have, especially our restaurants, we have a little strong outdoor focus. The restaurants, the ones that don't, we have two locations that don't have a very big patio space, and those ones, they're still probably doing half the volume. There's not enough customers, and those locations, there's not enough demand yet. But again, it keeps picking up every week. We're doing a little bit more. We feel a little bit more safe. I think the sun, being out, being warm, it also makes people feel a little safer. So we're trying to do our part, and then, hopefully the customers think we're handling business, and they're more excited about it. I will tell you though, that's not universal throughout the state. I mean, you can go to a place 3 miles down the road, no gloves, no masks, no distancing, no table spacing. It's okay. People seem fine with it, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but I think they respect our group and what we're doing and what Big Grove's doing to just put safety as a priority.
Well, I think before I'm going to jump in real quick, Jay, your the role that you play, Big Grove in particular, in Iowa City and in Southeast Iowa as a whole, should not go kind of unnoticed and should not be overlooked. And so obviously it would make total sense that you and the folks behind you are going to be to put the concern of your employees and your customers first and foremost. And so that makes total sense that you would do that. Do you think that having these kind of regulations, these kind of the spacing and the masks and the what your servers are doing, is that going to be more acceptable in a place like Iowa City than maybe outside? Is it because it is a college town? Because people are a little bit more, progressive, quite honestly.
Yeah, I do think it's, I agree with you 100%. I think it's easier to do in a town like Iowa City because people are they're definitely on the news maybe more than others, or they're at least paying attention to different news sites. I don't know. It just feels like they're very in tune with what's going on, and they're very concerned about what's going on. So they expect you to handle it professionally. And whether you agree or don't agree with what's going on, there's an expectation that you do give a shit and you are going to do what you need to do. And so that's our approach. And it's been working out really well for us. I still think the interior restaurant business is going to take some time, but it's encouraging to see what we've seen. I mean, just being honest, I'm surprised at what we've done over the last week or two.
Has Iowa City or the state of Iowa done anything different to allow that interior restaurant to expand into streets or adjust the way they're serving customers in a way that maybe can expand or allow for additional tables to be seated? I mean, in Denver, we've seen some, not all, but some streets are being shut down completely so that restaurants can seat in the street. We've had some of our breweries and other outdoor spaces have been able to get expanded permits so they can create larger beer gardens and things like that. Is that something that Iowa City is looking into for you guys?
Yeah, great question. The state has opened up that door for us. So the ABD said you can expand out to outdoor service areas pretty easily right now. They're trying to be very flexible. It's up to the local authority to make the call. We're working right now to expand Red's Patio in North Liberty. It has a nice outdoor garden. We're working to expand it into part of the parking lot. But yeah, I think where the opportunity exists, they're being pretty flexible, and it's been a door that's open. I've heard of some streets that are looking to close, including the north side of Iowa City. I don't know if that's actually coming to fruition or not. I think that's a really exciting development, though, and very pro-business, which I think is what we need to be doing right now. You just feel safer outside. You really do. You just feel safer outside. So I think the more outdoor seating, the more flexibility they offer us, it really helps out a lot.
Out of curiosity, and I guess it comes from a place where here in Denver in particular, the word we were getting from the mayor might have been a little different from the word we were getting from the governor, or at least they were clashing at times.
Yeah, definitely not on the same fucking page.
No, for sure. Johnson County as a whole.
We can talk about that stuff for a while if you wanted.
Oh my God, I know.
It was like way over here, and then
has Johnson? No, you're good. You guys are good. Has Johnson County and the state kind of been hand in glove? Things have been pretty good in terms of guidance when it comes to this.
Yeah, I think for the most part they have been. I think obviously there are opinions that exist on all different sides of it, but I don't know. I think for the most part it's been somewhat lockstep. There was talk about them not following the guidelines that were released by the governor in the beginning for just a minute, but then that chatter went away. I will say that the lack of information has been unbelievable, and that's not a criticism of our government or our local county or our local city at all. It's just everywhere. We don't know things 2 days before they happen, 1 day before they happen, and then it's like everything changes again. So it's been difficult on that. I mean, we probably spent, 100 hours probably per location just trying to figure out how to reopen and not knowing the rules, knowing the expectations, not knowing what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it's like, you can open in 3 days. Like, okay, well, here are the rules. And so it's very difficult, but our teams are hungry and they adapted quickly.
So I guess let's walk things back a little bit. As this was happening, as the shutdown was occurring, what kind of conversations were you having with Andy regarding getting beer made and canned and everything? In order to keep the business moving and afloat, obviously, and keep some cash flow going, what were you talking about in terms of getting packaged beer out there?
Well, I think we're very fortunate that our sales leader and manager, Chad, and Andy, our head brewer, they said, whatever we need to do, we'll do it. And I was shocked at that response. And not that I don't think they would say that anyways, but it just was such a clear-cut voice. Like, we'll do whatever needs to be done to help us get through this. And so we immediately shifted everything from on and off premise, whether it's bars and restaurants is one part of our business, off premise being grocery, liquor stores, retail package. So we shifted because a draft from 1 week was 50% of our business and it went to zero. Yeah. Now 50% of your business out the distribution door. That went to zero. So they pivoted quickly And we said, if anybody's going to have beer, Big Grove's going to have beer. And so we started putting as much beer as we could into cans. And then Dave, who's actually sitting next to me here, has been on the phone tirelessly trying to buy as many cans as he can out of the entire nation, because there's no cans. So you're going to start finding that on your podcast. There's going to be a lack of raw materials, and people aren't going to be able to put their beer into vessels because it just doesn't exist. So we actually rented a giant warehouse, and we're just taking anything we can get right now just to store and try and get ahead. Yeah, we pivoted quickly. It was, and the team, they did an amazing job. I couldn't believe it.
When you say you're snagging any kind of can that you can, I mean, are you guys seeing a change in some of the sizes of cans that you're able to deal with just because you want to be able to put those in front of people? Or are you guys sticking strictly to 12 and 16 ounce cans?
Sorry.
No. I was going to say too, like, was Crowlers ever on the table as an option, or is that still something that you guys offer?
Yeah, our Crowler business probably went from 12 cans a week to 400 or something. Ridiculous. We started doing a drive-through on the weekends, so we do a drive-through pre-order. So they order online, Wednesday to Friday, and then we prepare the orders. They pick them up Saturday morning. That's gone over huge, and that's been a way for us to sell Crowlers. We never really needed to sell Crowlers because we packaged a lot of our product, even the small batch stuff. So Crowler sales have gone through the roof. We're sticking to 12s and 16s for now. But literally, I mean, like, Coors Light's out of cans. You know, yeah. I mean, how is Coors out of cans? You know, like, that's a serious issue. So, like I said, we're just trying to scoop as much as we can, like any blank can that we can. We're trying to put as many printed can orders in as we can, and just trying to stay ahead of it. And holding an inventory that's probably 5x of what we used to hold, just because we don't have any. I think there's real concerns over the summer of getting the actual physical can in house.
Did you lose much?
What?
Did you lose much product in terms of, I guess, from restaurants who just obviously sell beer?
Yeah, so a lot of our beers are super stable. We fuse almost every beer that we put out. We do fuse every beer that we put out. And the hoppy beers we were concerned about. So working with our local reps and distributors, they ended up replacing a lot of the IPA, pale ale, any of those beers that are out in that world. And we worked together and formed a partnership on how we did that from a financial perspective. And the bottom line was take care of the customer being on-premise who just got murdered over the last 2 months. And we were lucky to have distributors that really agree with us and work on that. Yeah, we replaced a lot of beer.
What about lost or dumped beer? Yeah, I was going to say, what about lost or dumped beer? I mean, did you guys have anything in tanks that you had to get rid of, or were you guys in a safe enough place that you were just able to put it all in cans and kegs and keep on trucking?
Yeah, safe enough place to keep trucking. We did have tanks that waited longer than normally would wait. We kept them in, in limbo for a bit longer than we normally would, but nothing that would affect the beer quality. So if we were getting ready to hop an Eddy, we might have waited a few more days just to give it a little more rest time. It's not going to affect the quality, but we can get us a little bit more time to prepare to can it off. No, we didn't have to dump any beer. We were very fortunate with that situation. I was surprised.
I was going to say, I mean, you guys seem like you got lucky, frankly, based on some of the conversations we've had out here. A lot of people that had to dump a lot of beer, a lot of people that weren't able to move as quickly, a lot of people that, frankly, didn't have the cash on hand to stockpile cans and other materials that they could use that they might not be able to get their hands on later this summer. So I would definitely venture to guess that you guys are an exception. Hopefully that's a good thing. So.
Yeah, I would say that we are an exception. We're an exception on a lot of fronts. It's one of the more dynamic businesses that are out there, right? I mean, you think about, we have a retail in our own four walls. We have our own tap room. We sell beer to grocery, liquor stores, bars, restaurants. And so we lost 2 segments of our business. And thank gosh, we were able to amplify the 1 segment that left. Now we're probably doing 1/3 of the revenue, to be honest. But I mean, it was enough to keep the lights on and keep things moving forward. But it was, yeah, I mean, we're really fortunate. I don't disagree with you. And I think we're lucky that we had all the different segments of the business. And as you see craft pivoting to taproom model, yeah, you're going to be throwing out product because where's it going to go? You can't sell it in draft. You can't do anything with it. We were fortunate, like, we could dump it in one more direction. So I think we were very lucky. And I think you're going to see a lot of the regionals come out of this smelling pretty good because there wasn't a lot of people that could fill beer, right? I mean, that was one thing that was unique about us. We were still operational in our brewery. and we could fill beer. And there was a lot of people that couldn't do that for multiple reasons. So we're very lucky. I don't take that for granted.
Do you think that this will, I mean, along those same lines, this is what Charlie Berger told me last week too, Denver Beer Co. They same kind of story, quite honestly. Fortunate to be able to have their own canning line and things out there, packaging. Grocery store accounts have been huge for Odell and for DBC to really kind of stay afloat at this moment. Do you think that you will have expanded your footprint then, I guess, in Iowa, but also kind of regionally as you move forward?
Not right now. We haven't expanded our footprint. We're just trying to go deeper where we can. I guess what's the phrase? Mile wide and inch deep, or a mile deep and inch wide. So we're trying to we're trying to keep it hyper local and go deep and just have the strongest relationships we can with our vendors. So we're seeing more product in our stores than we ever have before. So far as number of SKUs, amount of beers, amount of displays, but I don't think we're necessarily seeing we have talked about footprint expansion, but we haven't made that move.
Sam's just trying to get you to start selling in Denver.
I know. No, for sure. I need to get some out here. Absolutely. We can get Toppling Goliath, but we can't get any Big Grove yet. Damn it, Matt.
Every time
let's talk about it. We'll figure it out.
I know. I know.
There's a way to figure things out in the business world.
Yeah, we'll just meet in Omaha.
Oh man, we'll hang out in Omaha for a night. Get weird.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to ask you, because I've always been impressed by what you do with branding and marketing on social, but also in print. Just as a whole, your marketing approach is fantastic. And I know that a lot of that comes from you, but with Big Grove in particular, when did that conversation arise in March or April, where it's okay, we can't be silent. We've got to be out there. We've got to be catching eyeballs. What were you talking? How were you talking about this with your marketing folks?
Yeah. Thank you for the compliment. We probably started talking about it and right when the shutdown happened, probably a week before that. So we were in a unique position. We were going to go to Germany for a lager tour on like the 13th or 12th of March.
Wow.
And I heard a story about how General Mills employees were over in Italy and got quarantined for 14 days. And I started really thinking, I'm like, we were going to go. And I'm like, wait a second, people getting quarantined. Like, this is a big deal. Like, this is like, they can't come back to America right now. Something's wrong. So we were talking about this just by default of us going to Germany. So we were already kind of like thinking about, what does this mean? What happens if we have to shut down? What if it's like Italy? What does this mean? So we were thinking about those things. And then I think somebody made a comment to me. We were putting out a new beer, and I think it was Andy actually. He's just like, I don't know that we're doing enough. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I think we're not seeing this thing right. Like, we should be doing more. We should be more active. And I was like, I think you're right. So we talked about it, and like everybody jumped on board, flipped the switch, and it was just nonstop. Like, let's get everything we can get out, unroll Solon, have Solon making beer all the time, have Iowa City making beer all the time, even if it's half batches, whatever we can do. Let's be active. And so that started the drive-through. That started the marketing push. That started more morning brews, videos. That started all that kind of stuff. Just realizing we only have one way to make money right now, or at least bring revenue in. I'm not saying we're making money. So let's dive into that hard. And I went on another podcast or a panel, and I just told people, I go, get on your social and talk until you can't talk anymore. I go, what else you got to do? People are sitting at home on their phones all day, panicking. Like, let's give them something to think about. So that was another motivation, like just more content. I might go against like the social media sphere of like how much you're supposed to put out, and I just could care less. I'm like, people want to watch the watch. If they don't, they don't. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that kind of went out the window. You don't overthink it. You just got to get it out there for sure. What are some of the things that really stuck with the marketing that you think you're going to continue with? I know that, the morning brew that's been going on for a while, but were there other kind of things that you have learned over the last 10 weeks that you kind of want to stick with when it comes to this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think number one, we'll stick with the drive-through. We'll stick, I don't want to call it a WeldWorks philosophy, but, we'll try to keep putting out new product all the time. I think that's a very serious shift for us. We put out a lot of different beers, of course, like probably more than most. But I still think there's an opportunity there for the local draw to keep putting out more beer all the time. And then I can't remember what the third one was, but there's something here. There's some magic here in the full service that we're doing now. That's the other thing we pivoted on in our tap room. So we went to a full service model. I forgot to mention that to begin with. So we have servers coming up and getting your drink orders instead of going to the bar. What we're finding is that what I was scared of is if you had 20 people in a line, that's 120 feet. Where are these people standing at, and how is it going to be socially distanced? And it wasn't making any sense. So the tap room and Danny's team pivoted on a dime, and so now we're doing full service. There might be something in a hybrid model there that could come out of it. The customers are really enjoying the full service, and I think they're honestly spending more money. I think they're buying more product because it's just so much more convenient. It's like you want another round of beers, you want to go wait in line for 3 minutes, or you just want to tell your server. So it seems like there might be something there too. We don't know yet. We're just kind of feeling that out. We're not going to change anything until the restrictions are lifted more, but it's definitely stuff we're thinking about.
What about your servers? This just totally random question, but do they feel like they're being treated better coming out of quarantine? I mean, you've heard stories about tips for $5,000 and people paying for a salary for a day and all sorts of weird shit like that. I mean, do your people feel appreciated by the customers these days? I mean, do they understand? Do our customers understand that what your team is going through?
Yeah, I think that's a hell of a point. Yeah, they do. I think most do. Now you hear the horror stories, right? I mean, everybody's heard the story of the dog archery guy and spitting on somebody and all these crazy stories. We haven't had a lot of that. I mean, we really haven't had. We've had a few people that were frustrated about some of the stuff, but no, in general, the people are being so generous and they're being really respectful. And we haven't had any of those stories of this guy was pissed and he started cussing us out. People have been respectful and people have been tipping very aggressively and just really with a warm heart. We're full of gratitude for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
I know that, we're running low on time here, but I wanted to ask about RAGBRAI. I know that you were going to do the RAGBRAI beer. RAGBRAI got canceled. What have you been doing to try to make sure that beer gets sold? What kind of conversations were you having with the folks at the register and stuff like that with this, very clearly branded beer to benefit that situation? Yeah,
so a quick pivot from sales and marketing and production. So we had, I think, 4 or 5 tanks of that beer scheduled to go into production. This started happening. We started getting wins that RAGBRAI could be postponed or delayed or canceled. We had submitted art for our can. We were literally at the 1 yard line on all of that. Mm-hmm. So we had to make a call. We called it to not do the can. So we pulled the can out, and when you buy a can, for those that aren't familiar with it, you're buying a whole semi-load. So you're buying 220,000 cans to fill up. So it's a huge commitment. And so we didn't feel comfortable with that commitment. And we just said, we're going to pull it and maybe we'll label some cans and see what happens. We'll put out what we can. And so instead of sticking with the same label, doing all this and celebrating RAGBRAI, we pivoted, did a whole new black can, black label, with a really hot photo from the High Trestle Bridge over past Des Moines. It's just one of probably the coolest branding pieces we've ever put together. So trying to keep the spirit of Tailwind alive, but also say, hey, it is a different year. It is not a normal year. And it's been really, really well received. And we're doing a big bike giveaway for it and everything too. So it's been going good. It's a great question though. I mean, it's sad to see RAGBRAI not do it this year, but they're going to go next year, do the exact same route. And we'll be their partner again next year.
Obviously there's another elephant in the room that is not just COVID, but obviously the social unrest, the protests that are going on, Iowa City being really a place where it's happening. Obviously you all put a post up last week, a very thought out thoughtful post. What kind of role, I guess, does Big Grove play moving forward in this kind of stuff, but not just Big Grove? You're a very smart person. You're business savvy. What role does craft beer play as we move forward? Because it's been criticized for many, many years as an industry that doesn't necessarily get behind these things and be vocal in the way that it should. So I guess, let us hear your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, a hard question. We're trying to figure that out. We're navigating what is Big Grove's role in our community. We're a community hub, so we have to have a role in it somehow. We're actively talking about that, looking at a lot of different opportunities, I guess, to help. We want to be helpful, but we also need to focus on the change part. we're worried that, you come out, we're going to give 10% of our sales on this day or something. It's just, it may come off a little hollow. I'm not saying anything wrong with people that are doing that. We had a discussion last Friday about, what can we do to make an impact? And we're, a little bit struggling with the answer because, we might not be the right people in the room to answer that question.
Yeah.
We're predominantly white company. I mean, it's a bunch of guys in a boardroom, and we do have some females in our boardroom, but it's not diverse as it should be. Yeah. And that's something that we're all waking up and facing right now, and realizing that, our industry does need to change. I think craft beer could be a leader. Craft beer is looked at, to me, the way I've always positioned Big Grove as the heartbeat of the community. So if the heartbeat of the community isn't representing the community, there's probably something wrong. And so we need to look at that. And frankly, it's something that's always been talked about, but never been forced into this discussion like it has been now. So it's something we have to take a hard look at and figure out how we're going to help. We're having discussions of potentially hosting. We have a giant space. I mean, for those who haven't been here, we can host 1,000 people here with our outdoor areas. And do we become a meeting space for change? Do we host town halls? Do we open up our doors so people think it's safe to come here? I never thought about it. And it's a question I never had to ask myself. But I hope people feel safe, but maybe we need to reassure them that this is a safe space for everybody. And it's difficult, and I can imagine being on the other side would be way more difficult. But for us, it's not necessarily tightrope. It's just tough because we want to make sure we're doing the right thing and doing it respectfully. And you don't want to come off the wrong way because you could really send a wrong message. And I don't think that's appropriate either. So I think we're a little slow to the draw here. I think we got to move a little faster. We're going to make it a priority this week to get something out there that's a little bit more substantial than we've done. But yeah, we obviously stand for change, and I think our industry is a dynamic, and it's a cultural industry, right? I mean, it's a culture leader, so we got to be there doing it.
Is beer
too dancing around, but that's just
no. I think you're listening, right? And I think the three of us, especially in this conversation, that's about all we can do, at the moment, right? To really be respectful and to listen. And so I do appreciate you saying that for sure. Jay, what were you going to say?
I'm curious. I mean, is it a little too late for the beer industry anyway? I mean, if you think back to what happened with Founders last year, and it was kind of a wake up call for the industry and craft beer. But it feels like it was just a blip on the radar, and then it went away really quickly, and maybe it was lip service at the time. But now given everything else, it's not just beer, right? It's a universal problem nationwide and really around the globe. But is it time for beer to collaborate with biking or the college or something else like that to really make it a priority rather than just I don't want to say sweep it under the rug, but that's almost what it feels like happened last year.
Yeah, I think it felt so isolated. It felt like it was Founders had this thing happen. To me, I'm not trying to I say that with caution, but it just felt so detached because we never operated our business like that. We never think like that. We were just kind of surprised that it happened. I have a lot of friends at Founders. One of my great friends, Chad Atherton's one of their sales managers. And I talked to Chad, and he's like, man, they had to go through some huge changes. But I just never thought of us that way, I guess. And now that we're having this different, this new wave of change come upon us, it makes you look harder. And I don't think anything's too late, though. I mean, to your question, I don't think we're too late at all. I think we may have been slow, but there's still time to change, and I'm confident that the beer industry will change, and I know that we will.
That's perfect. As we close up shop here, you can be as honest and be as honest as you possibly can. What do the future of all of your ventures look like? Are any of them kind of teetering on the edge, or everything's feeling pretty good? Are you worried? Are you ecstatic? What's going on in your head as a business person?
Quietly confident. Okay. I feel like we're gonna come out okay. I think you guys mentioned somewhere in there that some of your participants or fellow Colorado beer folks are struggling, and they financially couldn't handle the impact of the COVID shutdowns, and so you guys are still in it right now. We've always positioned our businesses in a conservative manner. It seems like we've done all this stuff, we've expanded, but we've always ran really conservative. We try to keep a lot of money in the bank just to be safe. So we can weather storms. I feel good about it. I like to think that everything comes out rosy, but there's a chance that one or two will need tweaks or changes, or I hope not shut down. I don't think we're at that point yet, but I do think you're going to see across the nation. I described the PPP, which is the payroll protection program, which was the forgivable loans from the government. I described that program as a lifeboat. Mm-hmm. The lifeboat's great, right? It gives you life, but if you don't know where you're going,
yeah,
I get worried about the folks that are going to have this lifeboat, they're going to have this money, and then all of a sudden it's going to be winter, it's going to get cold up here, and are people even going out then? So we aren't touching that money. I mean, we are just, every dollar that we can stockpile right now, we're stockpiling it because we don't know what the next 3, 4, 5 quarters hold. So we're trying to be really conservative and know that the winter could be dark. And I think everybody in the industry needs to take that seriously. Like could be real dark, and you better be ready for it. And if you're not, you're going to be more PPP. So you better be ready to go. And I think that's a real thing to think about. And banks are going to tighten, guys. Banks are going to tighten hard. Like, you think a bank's going to be shelling out $1 million loans for restaurants and breweries?
No comment.
I was going to say, Jay the banker. Yeah, I know. I saw your response.
I mean, tell me, buddy, but it just feels like doesn't feel like that's going to be happening too much either. So I think people are they're going to be very conservative. So we need to operate conservatively while marketing aggressively. And I don't know. I think we'll come out okay. I think next year is going to be great. But we need things to keep advancing with the vaccine. We need things to keep moving forward. We need the summer to be hot and hopefully get rid of as much as we can of it. And we'll see.
Yeah, and we need can distributors to crank up their manufacturing. It sounds like
they do. I'm guessing they're going full clip here, but they might need a new plant. But,
Matt Swift, obviously one of the smartest guys in the business that we wanted to talk to. Plug some of your new beers, because obviously a lot of our listeners are coming from Iowa. So what can we find at the bar or on a grocery store shelves that you're proud of right now?
Well, our number one beer is Easy Eddie. It's our hazy IPA, won gold at the U.S. Open Beer Cup. It's my beer I drink every day. I love it. We just redid our wheat beer, West Main Wheat. It's got a new formula. We're actually using the Eddie yeast in it. That's a secret. Nobody knows that yet, but there you go. It's a hot front filter.
Words out now.
Yeah, we're re-releasing Color TV this weekend. So what would that be, Dave? The 14th, 13th, something like that. So Color TV is a double hazy we do. It's probably our most heavily regarded or second on Untapped. It's unbelievable. It's like one that we put on tap just flies out the door. We'll do a few cases, probably a couple hundred cases of it. Some will go to the grocery stores, but like literally 2 cases per grocery store, per liquor store. Wow. And then we'll sell the rest in-house and then do draft. And that's a hot one. That's probably one of our most coveted brands. And then this summer we're gonna do a huge release. On July 18th, we're going to release Velvet, which is our barrel-aged long boil imperial stout. Probably one of the best beers ever made, ever. We did a unbarrel-aged version. It's basically, it's all aged on vanilla. And so that's going to come out on the 18th with a couple other big beers. So we have
where can we pick this? Where can I tell my dad to go and grab this?
Sounds like a road trip.
Yeah, I'd say you need to stay on the fourth. I guess email me. We'll figure it out.
Well, no, I can just have him come get it. But yeah, are you going to have it at the big place? Okay. All right.
We'd love to have him. I mean, all this stuff's available. We do stores every week, so I mean it's easy to get if you got time.
Awesome,
Matt. Let me just give you props on the Tailwind can too. I went and pulled it up while you were talking about it, and that is a sick looking can.
Thanks, man. That's probably one of the best things we put out. I'm super proud of it, and the beer is great too. So we'll send you some beer about that.
Well, Matt Swift, thank you so much, buddy. Really, really appreciate talking to Jay and I, and we wish you the best of luck as you move forward. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being flexible too. Appreciate it.
Hey,
thank you, Matt.
No worries.
We'll be in the car soon. We'll come and see you.
Exactly.
Yeah, let me know when you're in town, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, see you, buddy. Bye.
Cheers.